So, Mr. Lawrence, I wave to the press so that they'll know who you are. And I want to welcome everyone. I want to take some time, of course, to thank the press and welcome our listeners and viewers if we are live. I want to thank the press always for your willingness to partner with us, for your patience with us. We do apologize for the late start. And today we will be discussing, as is seen here, case 130 of 2019, which brought up some very pertinent and important issues, which ironically, this was said before, which ironically does impinge on some of the activities of yesterday. So we are here to discuss that matter, which was brought against the Attorney General and the Commissioner of Police, and to discuss the judgment which illuminated certain issues that are usually burning in the Dominican psyche. Before I go to Mr. Lawrence so he can give us a synopsis of the case, I'm going to call on the Chief of Police to just say a few words.
Good morning. Let me recognize the presence of the PS National Security, Mr. Jason Lawrence of the Ministry of Legal Affairs, Superintendent George Theophile, other gazetted ranks of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, members of the media, members of the listening public. Precious good morning to you. I wish to begin immediately into my short statement, and I will say here that the process by which protest actions can be held lawfully in the Commonwealth of Dominica is established by law. The Public Order Act, Chapter 1501 of the Laws of Dominica 2017 stipulates the procedures that should be followed by people interested in holding lawful protest actions in Dominica. Section 11 of the Constitution speaks about the rights and privileges of members of the public to go about their lawful business unhindered and undisturbed. On December 15, 2018, the Concerned Citizens Movement, CCM, staged a public meeting at Castle Street in Roseau. The CCM had not sought any permission from the Chief of Police. Neither was there any permission granted to them so to do. Consequently, the police intervened and implemented measures to bring the unlawful gathering to an end. A number of people were arrested and charged. However, 3 of the participants of that unlawful gathering filed a suit against the state. This matter was successfully defended by the state, the details of which will be articulated by other speakers. On Wednesday, October 16, 2024, a number of truck drivers participated in an unlawful protest action on the E.O. Leblanc Highway in Kenfield. The Chief of Police did not receive any request from the Tipper Truckers Association or anyone acting on their behalf to hold the protest action on Wednesday, October 16, 2024. The unlawful protest action involved the obstruction to the free flow of traffic along the E.O. Leblanc Highway. The actions of the truck drivers were unlawful and contrary to Section 68(1) of the Vehicles and Road Traffic Act number 4650 of the Dominica Revised Laws 2017. And I want to quote that section of law, section 68(1). A person in charge of a motor vehicle shall not cause or permit that vehicle or any trailer drawn thereby to remain stationary on any road in such a position, in such condition, or in such circumstances as is likely to cause danger or obstruction to other traffic using the road. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force is obliged by law to ensure that citizens and visitors to the country go about their business undisturbed, unhindered. And the police force must protect the life of citizens and visitors and their properties. The police force has a mandate to protect the state and institutions of the state. The police acted lawfully in dispersing the riotous and tumultuous mob who were bent on disturbing the public peace and causing violence. The situation was further exacerbated by the mob who threw stones and bottles at the police. In these circumstances, necessary actions were taken by the police to disperse the crowd and bring an end to the disorder that had prevailed at the time. The police will utilize all the lawful means to bring the perpetrators involved to justice. The Commonwealth of Dominica is a peaceful country, and the police force will do all in its power to ensure that law and order is maintained at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I will now call on Mr. Jason Lawrence, State Attorney in the Chambers of the Attorney General, to give a brief synopsis of the matter that we wished to discuss, which is not yesterday, it's the Loftus-Dura case from 2019. I just want to ensure that that is clear. I think the Chief just took the opportunity because there are similarities in the matters. But now I ask Mr. Lawrence to give a synopsis of the case.
Thank you, PS. I'll adopt the protocol that has already been established and just go straight into the synopsis. So, in the Dominica High Court civil case number 130 of 2019, Loftus Duran, Atherton Martin, James Daisy, against the Attorney General and Chief of Police, on December 15, 2018, the Concerned Citizens Movement, also known as the CCM, organized a meeting in Roseau without obtaining a permit from the police, as required under the Public Order Act of Dominica. The meeting was held on Castle Street from approximately 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and as many as 400 to 500 persons were in attendance at the peak of the meeting. The police had set up barriers earlier in the day, but did not initially interfere with the meeting. The meeting went on without interruption from the police for several hours. Around 4 p.m., one of the speakers, Mr. Atherton Martin, got on a loudspeaker and encouraged the attendants to block the road. This led to unrest, with some of the attendees behaving unruly and obstructing traffic. After observing the escalating situation, in accordance with the Riot Act of Dominica, the police used a megaphone and instructed the crowd to disperse. The police also held up a written banner written, "Disperse or we use CS gas." When these orders were ignored, the police used tear gas to disperse the crowd. As a result, Loftus Duran, Atherton Martin, and James Daisy all filed lawsuits against the Attorney General and the Chief of Police. They claimed that they did not require permission and that their constitutional rights were infringed and that the actions of the police were excessive. So during the trial, evidence was presented which included witness testimony from both sides. At the trial, the claimants, Mr. Loftus Huron, Atherton Martin, and James Daisy, were represented by Ms. Cara Shillingford, and the defendants, the Attorney General and the Chief of Police, were represented by Ms. Nadira Lando and myself, Jason Lawrence, State Attorneys at the Chambers of the Attorney General. In his judgment, the judge, the Honorable Justice Colin Williams, stated that the purpose of Dominica's Public Order Act is to, quote, make provision for the preservation of public order on the occasion of public processions and meetings in public places. The Honorable Justice Colin Williams found that the CCM's meeting was a public procession under the Public Order Act and did require a permit, which the CCM failed to request or obtained. As a result, Justice Williams found that the assembly was unlawful. However, he found that whether the use of tear gas was justified had to be evaluated considering all the surrounding factors. The Honorable Justice Colin Williams found that the police acted reasonably given the size of the crowd, the disruption to traffic, and the agitation caused by Mr. Atherton Martin's call to block the roads. Justice Williams concluded that the police's response was appropriate and was not excessive because they acted reasonably as their intervention was based on escalating tensions and the need to prevent disorder. Moreover, Justice Williams found that there was no breach of the constitutional rights of the claimants. As a result, the court dismissed the claimants' case entirely and ordered the claimants to pay costs to the defendants. A full version of this case can be found on ecccourts.org, that is eccourts.org, and a physical copy will be presented to the media shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that brief synopsis, but I think it was very well understood, very easy to digest, Mr. Lawrence, so thank you very much. I will now call on the Honorable Minister for National Security, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, to give some remarks.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs. I want to also acknowledge in our presence the Commissioner of Police and the Assistant Commissioner of Police. I see all the gazetted officers present this morning. And in a particular way, I want to recognize Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Jason Lawrence, who did an extraordinary job here this morning. That's the first time I've heard him speaking publicly, and I want to commend him for that. Consistent with the ministry's mantra of ensuring that we give the listening public and the public updates as to some of the issues confronting the ministry and confronting the country. We had planned to have this press conference in advance of time, notwithstanding what transpired yesterday. I also want to take this opportunity to thank you, the members of the media fraternity, and before that, I want to really, in a special way, commend the Permanent Secretary for support to the Minister and the Ministry and the policies that we seek to implement on behalf of the government and people of Dominica. I believe that Mr. Lawrence, in a synopsis, quite eloquently actually articulated the facts concerning the matter that we actually intended to have had this press conference this morning. But I want to just take a break before I dwell into this matter here before us this morning on the issue as to what transpired yesterday, and to say to the public that this administration understands that people have a right to express their views, etc., etc. But let me just say that the pursuit to maintaining law and order, in my view, should not be seen as an aspiration. It is the duty of every citizen to ensure that we live in an environment that is guided by order. Not an aspiration, but a duty. And that is not the function only of the police or the relevant agencies within the governmental apparatus. But the obligation is on you, it's on me. And just to add to what the Chief of Police said here this morning, reference to the specific issue that transpired yesterday, that could have actually degenerated into a national public spectacle where a number of people could have gotten hurt. I want to commend the police for the extreme demonstration of constraint and discretion, and for that again, I want to applaud the efforts. I also want to take this opportunity to apologize and to apologize to any collateral injury or discomfort that may have been caused by the discharge, quite rightly so, of the tear gas by the police yesterday, which was not intended to cause any harm to anyone, specifically those who were not involved in this violent mob. Let me just say here this morning, and I believe all of us have this collective responsibility to try to educate and edify the public, those of us who know better, on the fundamentals of the laws insofar as they relate to our right to express ourselves, our right to move freely within the public space, on our right to assembly. And let me just say here this morning that there is no express provision in the parent law of this country, namely the Constitution, that gives anyone or any group of people the absolute right to stand on any public road and to create an obstruction or to block the road, or to have any meeting, especially within a public space, that will cause obstruction to traffic flow without the express permission of the Commissioner of Police. And the notion that the Constitution provides carte blanche authority for people to demonstrate and to march and to hold meetings without first ensuring that they meet the requirement under the prescription of the law, namely Section 3 of the Public Order Act, that stipulates clearly that if you're planning to have a procession, which is a demonstration or a protest, whatever the case may be, that within 3 days of the set date which you intend to have that procession, you shall apply to the Chief of Police for permit. And if the Chief of Police, within his discretion, believe that he should grant that permission, he does that, and that is so to ensure that the public, other members of the public who do not have any interest in your meeting or your procession or your protest, they too have a right to traverse, to go to the market, to buy the medication, and to go to work. So the police has to come in to ensure that there is law and order within the public space, so that your protest, that your march can proceed in a civilized manner. That is why the law is, because the public interest supersedes the interest of Reuben Blackmore or anybody else or any group. And that is something that we have to appreciate. So I wanted to make it fundamentally clear. So going back to yesterday, what transpired yesterday, strictly speaking, the trucks should have been removed from the road, and those who transgressed the law should have been arrested, strictly speaking. We have to determine as to what country we want for ourselves and our children. And then putting your trucks across the road and depriving other people to exercise their own right is not only unacceptable, should not stand. And the police has every right to act in the public interest. And let me just say again, even reference was made to the Public Order Act, but the police has tremendous authority. Under the Police Act, 1401, I invite us to read Section 12. that provide the police, a police officer, with tremendous authority to regulate any public meeting, any public space, to ensure that there is law and order, to free the street of any obstruction. Those drafters of those laws, the Public Order Act and the Police Act, were very bright, and they understood, therefore, the right of people to exercise their freedom of expression, but also the right of the public to conduct their own business without impediments. And I wanted to actually spell that out. So this morning also, because we have a number of public servants and who work so hard, quietly, but there's no public spectacle created by the tremendous work. And I want to take this opportunity here this morning, on behalf of the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs and the government on a whole, to commend firstly the Attorney General for the leadership he has been able to provide over the years, and to commend the compliments of the staff compliments, and in particular, I want to make a reference, and I believe PS before that, I think State Attorney at the time, Nesty, may have worked on this matter, according to my recollection. During the initial days, Ms. Nesty was now the Registrar of Companies, and Nadira, Lando, Mr. Jason Lawrence, and I also want to actually underscore the contribution and the diligence and the brilliance of the Solicitor General, Mrs. Burton, and the Senior State Attorney, and all those who have been involved in advocating on behalf of the state for liquor pay. They could have been out in the private sector making much more money, but they have intended to give service to country. And this matter that has been in the public domain for the longest while and have been actually given prominence and currency on the various social media platforms, and people were celebrating before the actual eventuality by way of a judgment from the Supreme Court. And I believe that case was a test case, because the number of us, I keep on hearing up to last night, people have a right to protest, and I'm not hearing the guardrails that are provided for by law. You see? And I want to reiterate for emphasis, and to call on the public to understand the authority of the police, because once you have a meeting, and even if the meeting is peaceful, it doesn't mean that it's lawful. If you did not follow the law, and the Constitution provides a facility for the enactment of laws in the name of public order, public interest, public morality, and public health. That is why we were able to actually pass certain regulation to deal with COVID. That provision and facility is provided for by the Constitution. So the notion that anybody can just get up, or a group of people, and just go and demonstrate on Block Road, and that's all right, is fundamentally misplaced, not true, and illegal. And then we have to also understand, and that is why I'm happy that the State Attorney, Mr. Lawrence, made reference to the Riot Act. But once you have a meeting, and there is some element of disorder emerging, and the police call upon you to desist from that, and they invoke the Riot Act, you are putting yourself not only to legal jeopardy, but you're exposing yourself to injury. Because reasonable force has to be appreciated and measured based on the circumstances. If you're throwing stones at the police, if you're throwing cocktails at the police, you understand? The police have to determine in these circumstances, what action they take to mitigate and to diffuse the threat that is being actually sent in the direction, and that to the public. And I want us to understand that. I want us to appreciate that. And I want those of us who know better to be voices of reason and to come out and try to educate the public. And because people are exposing themselves to extreme danger, and I don't want that. This government is not about wanting to have the police to go out and victimize and brutalize the public. That's not the intention of the government. If that were the intention, so many things would have happened over the past number of years. But this country is one where we want to embrace love and prosperity and to push this country forward for all of us. So we have to continue to assess, and we'll be proceeding to equip the police with some heavy pieces of equipment. Because we have within the police force folks who are trained to operate heavy pieces of equipment. Because there are going to be times that if these things were to continue, the police have to move and act with a certain degree of urgency and to stamp out that potential public discord that may arise and that will arise. Because this is one of the songs I like the most. A number of people believe I am a calypso man only. I'm a music man. And for me, in a song, the most profound part of a song are the words, the lyrics. I do not take in songs that are profane. I have no time for that. The world is a what? It is a cycle, and everything comes back in a circle. And the question is, those of us who aspire to be in office, if we're there and those similar occurrences emerge, how are we going to react? So the Labour Party happens to be in office now. It's not going to be in office forever. Right? Because the world is up. And we have to be so prepared for when it revolves. And the world is not revolving around us alone. And I want us to understand that. You know, as you get older, you tell stories, you have more wisdom, etc. And you tell more stories. I hope that people are going to look at you for who you are because you happen to be serving in a party, you are running for a party, you're part of a party. But all of us want what is best, I hope, for this country. So again, I want to commend the Office of the Attorney General. I want to commend, the state attorneys who have been working relentlessly on behalf of the state. And in each of them who have been doing that service to country, a hero is being revealed in each of them. And every time they go before the court to advocate on behalf of the state, the people, and the state therefore shall be construed as the people. And the people are indeed the only clients. And that is a manifestation of the tremendous work they have been doing on behalf of the state that have been going unnoticed for a long period of time. And the ministry has a responsibility to pick them up and to will continue to advocate on behalf of the ministry and to ensure that we continue to do what we have to do within the ministry to execute the policies entrusted in the ministry so to do on behalf of the government and the people of this country. I thank you very much. And again, Chief of Police and the police, well done for your constraint. But going forward, we have to act and act decisively, and cut off with every degree of finality this nonsense. I thank you. Any questions?
We now invite any questions from the press. Come. Well, we have to hear you. As long as we can hear you.
Let me first commend the Dominica Police force for the constraints which I, on social media and when I was traveling home, witnessed, because it would have been worse if the police had not had that level of constraints. But there's also, in my view, need for more public education, read the laws of Dominica, which the Honorable Minister and yourself, the Acting Chief, articulated, which I think a number of people who want to keep meetings, those public meetings, need to be made aware of, and also the general public. Police Beat was an important program. I used to listen to Police Beat regularly on Fridays. I'm not hearing anything. What is being done for more public education?
Thank you. Before I hand over to the Minister, we will do something, I think, very soon and go as much in depth as we can if we have to do 2 or 3 programs on public order and the acts that surround public order, including the Constitution, the Riot Act, etc. But I do want to encourage people that on your own, you do have the ability to read the laws of Dominica. Dominica is one of the few territories that are blessed to have our laws online. So if you go to the www.dominica.gov.dm site, you will see the laws tab and the laws are there for your viewing. But we will do something very soon on public order if we have to do 2 or 3 sessions so that we can go in depth, I think, and maybe really educate the public and hopefully run that program again from time to time just to keep people's memory fresh.
Thank you, BS. For matter of fact, one of the things we have done within the ministry is that we have every second and first days and last Thursdays on DBS Radio, a program, and the intention of that is to continue to edify the public on various aspects of the law. One of the things we did, one of the first programs we had, that we brought in Mr. Anthony Laron, former Attorney General of Dominica, and his forte is in legal drafting. He has worked for regional organization and government in the area of drafting. He has been retained by this administration as a consultant in the area of legal drafting. And he was, of course, just for a matter of information, was the Attorney General of Dominica during the United Workers' Party administration. So this government is all inclusive. Do you understand what I'm saying? And he's currently now as the legal draft person. One of the things we did was the first person we brought on the show, and we looked at fundamental rights vis-a-vis the Public Order Act and other regulations, and we made reference to how the government was able to enact certain regulation, and of course with that authority coming from the Constitution. So we did that. What we intend to do is to have it again, and to bring in the police also, and to have some more deliberate emphasis being placed on the Public Order Act and also the Constitution. One of the things I've always maintained as a minister, because I had debates, even past on DPPs, and my view was, the law is the law. The law is the law. I mean, you can talk about precedents and common law in the absence of what you call positive law, written law, enacted by Parliament. But once you have laws enacted by Parliament, unless it is tested before the court and the court deem it to be ultra-virus, you know what I'm saying? That is what you have to interpret. That's what you have to apply. And then the Constitution itself makes provision for the enactment of the Public Order Act. One may say it was enacted a number of years ago, but it has been amended. And the law is not, the law is organic. And with the evolution of socio-economic facts, those elements will impact on the need for us to do further amendments to our existing laws. But of course, there's merit and substance to the Public Order Act insofar as the Constitution is concerned. And there's no, and let me just emphasize that, there's no prescribed provision within the Constitution that gives anyone, any group, the absolute carte blanche right to protest without, firstly, actually making a request. And if the Commissioner of Police, within his thinking, believe that permission should not be granted, he is obligated by law to refer it to the minister who is responsible for the Public Order Act, and the minister may agree with the Chief of Police or grant permission with certain direction. That's what the law says. It had been so before Roosevelt Scarrett, the Prime Minister. It has been so during Michel's time, and it was so during the Workers' Party time. For matter of fact, notwithstanding the fact that a number of people are saying that the government is in office for so long, we have not really invoked the Public Order Act and declare and to prohibit meetings in any section of the country or the whole country, which the minister can do under the Public Order Act. It was done in Mao at the time when I came back for my studies and holidays during the by-election in Mao, where the Public Order Act was invoked by the then minister to prevent the Freedom Party from having a political meeting in Mao just before an election. So, you see, some of us in this country have fuzzy memories. The fuzzy memories when it is so appropriate. And some of them are older than me. And I know that happened. How come you don't know now? Those of you, of course, who are around. When officers came down in people talking about camouflage now, camouflage on M16. There was no riot in Mao. There was no stone throwing in Mao. There was no turning over of containers, 40-foot containers, and children across the road. There was absolutely no. And I know, of course, when you speak that way, the detractors on Facebook will come and attack you and not attack the substance of what you say. But if we want to point fingers, we must put all the elements on the table. In my view, see me, I have served my country. I have stood for law and order all my life. Whether I'm in office, when I leave the political form, whether the party is in office or not, I will never support any mob, any disrespect for the rule of law. I will not. I don't stand for it, and I will never stand for it. I stand for law and order. And that's how it is. And some people don't like it, but that's how it is. When you see me, what you see is what you get. And it's important for us to determine as a people what kind of country we want. So we'll continue, that was a very long answer. We shall continue to have those programs. Next week, first, God willing, we'll be having guests. We'll be dealing on the whole issue of maintenance, child maintenance, and custody. And I think those are issues that need to be ventilated so people can understand. Because one of the things that we have done is that we have passed a suite of family laws, sweeping. And some of them have been tested before the court. Because we have to also appreciate that you might, when a law is enacted, you have a particular intention. But when the law is applied, you get an appreciation of the pith and substance of the law. And maybe the need to do further amendments. That is how it is. So no law is perfect until it is tested and applied. See? And then, after almost 30 years, this government saw it fit to consolidate its laws. When we had a revision, when it brought in Mr. Ray Harris, a great Dominican, one of the best in the Caribbean, or maybe the world. And then we have consolidated all our laws to make it easier. You can go online and you can see up to 2017. So all the subsidiary pieces of laws that we had over the years have all been consolidated to make it easier. You can get a flash drive from the ministry. You can go online. That is how progressive this government is. It's not only about building roads, but we have a holistic view and understanding as to how a country should be run and how a government ought to operate on behalf of the people it is elected to serve.
Good morning, all. Kyrie FM. Just 3 questions. The organizers of the protests admitted live on the media yesterday that they were illegally protesting. will they be charged for illegally protesting, and is there a fine for illegal protest in Dominica? Number 3, do you plan on reaching the people at the community level in educating them on the laws? Because maybe not every farmer or every fisherman will go looking into the laws. Some of them probably don't have time, some of them cannot read properly. Do you plan on reaching people at the community level? Yes, you have a radio program that's on one media house, but you have an entire country with over 70,000 people. What are the other plans?
Well, thank you. First question, as it relates to the persons who were involved in the illegal act yesterday, as you would recall in my brief, I indicated that all of those who were involved in the illegal act, all the perpetrators, will be brought to justice. So indeed, action will be taken to ensure those who breached the law yesterday will be prosecuted. As it relates to reaching the communities, because you're right, not everybody is going to read go online. We have in our community policing initiative included that aspect of our reach to the community. And as far as possible, we will seek to enlighten the public on matters of the law as it relates to the circumstances of their community, the situation of their communities, things that they need to know legally, and we will, of course, ensure we will ensure that we inform the public on what is expected of them in terms of their adherence to the laws. The penalty, of course, there's a penalty in this for the breach of the laws as it relates to protest actions, which is by summary conviction of $10,000 or 6 months imprisonment. So those persons who will be found guilty for the act on summary convictions can be charged, and if convicted, pay $10,000 or 6 months in prison. Okay? Thank you.
Very nice question. One of the things that we will be doing, and when we're planning one of the things we take seriously, the need to also educate the public on the various same issues that you raised, and to be apprised of the relevant laws. And that's why we have started the radio program. So we'll be having, the other aspect of it is to have town hall meetings and to bring in resource persons, people, sorry. I hate to use the word persons, there's nothing like that, people. And to actually form part of that community outreach program. So yes, we have the police, within the visual community policing on some relevant subject matters that they talk about, but we also, within the ministry, the next phase of a radio program, while we'll be having a radio program, but we have the plan to move out in various communities to have community, town hall meetings to speak on relevant issues of the law. As I said, on Thursday coming next week, God willing, we're going to be having a resource person in that area who was also very versed in the application of the various aspects of the family laws, and she'll be on the radio from 8 o'clock on DBS Radio, and we'll speak to some vexing issues as it relates to maintenance and custody of the child, because some of the laws that we have passed in the recent past have some implication insofar as it refers to parental rights, and sometimes fathers think that they're not being fairly treated, but the law as it is right now provides the rights for both parents. And then so one of the things that we do not know, and know, was that the law also provides an obligation on children for the maintenance of the parents in the twilight period of their lives. And because we have a caring government, We have Yes to Care about all these kind of social programs. But there's a mandating law that put the obligation on children to take care of the parents. Not many people know that. So we have to explain that also to the public, that you have not only a moral responsibility, but you also have a legal responsibility to care for your parents who have gone even past the autumn phase of their lives. So it's a very interesting question that you've asked, but I want us to understand in the public, and that should not, I mean, the fact of the matter is we have so many people in Dominica, we have a number, scores of lawyers. And I want to commend the Bar Association, they have this program on some Mondays, legal speaking, something like that. It helps. But there are other people who I want to characterize should be voices of reason. But it seems to me in this country, notwithstanding how brilliant some people are, how qualified some people are, everybody belongs to a political altar. Everybody belongs to a political altar. So when you belong to the same political altar, you sing from the same political hymn sheet. When that happens, the public does not benefit. You're simply trying to impose your interests on that of the public. Any other question? Okay, this matter was on fire last night, so.
Any further questions? Any other questions? You have another one? No? Okay. Okay. All right. Since there are no more questions, Honorable Minister, are there any closing comments that you want to give? If not, I will. Okay.
Let me thank the media. Today, we're not there late enough to have lunch, so I want to end before 1 o'clock, because if you're going to be there at 1 o'clock, we must provide you with lunch. The police kitchen there, the police restaurant, you cannot have the media there until 1 o'clock and not providing you with free lunch. I don't know how the ministry operates already. But thank you very much for showing up. Thank you very much to the listening public. And we will continue to have those updates, and we'll continue to ensure that the Dominican Republic is edified. And we take on board all the questions and interventions that came up from you this morning, with the view, of course, to making and perfecting more what we do within the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs and the government in the whole. I think last night there was a program. I want to comment on Mr. Curtis Matthew. I listened to your interview last night with the Prime Minister. I think it was well coordinated, I must say, because it was done also with Carry FM. And the questioning was done with a view to edifying the public. And I believe the Prime Minister crystallized everything in the most splendid manner. So thank you very much for your work. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for coming. Everybody who's viewing, thank you for tuning in. Have a pleasant day, everybody.